Grandpa, what was the food like?
Food in the excuse me, the food was very good in some places. In the boot camp, food was good. There was just typical military food. But when we got overseas, we were what they call an orphan ship. We were supposed to go over and right back. And so we weren't assigned any unit in the Pacific, in the South Pacific. And so but instead of coming right back, they kept us there. It was an ammunition supply depot for back and forth, one invasion after another, all of them down the Philippines. And we'd go on an invasion, and then we'd bring back all the extra ammunition they didn't need. And so we stayed there for quite a long time without supplies. And nobody would give us food down there. We actually ran out of food on the ship. And to one time we had nothing but macaroni and rotten hamburger. And we didn't eat. We were given a cigarette ration every week, a carton of cigarettes. I always sold my cigarettes for bananas. I had lived on bananas for a long time down there. And then we actually had to steal. We stole a lot of food from the Army. They wouldn't give it to us because everybody's jealous of their product. We stole food from the Army. We got to the point where it was a lot of fun to steal. And we'd take gunny sacks ashore and come back with food. We'd steal from the different camps. But the food was, other than that, the food was pretty good. And one thing that they do a little bit different back in boot camp, I keep telling them how we used to they make scrambled eggs. They'd have these great big bowls, and mixing bowls would probably hold 200 or 300 gallons. But they would dump case after case of eggs in there, and then they would beat them all up until the eggs were all beaten up, shells and all. And then they would let them set all night, and by the morning all the shells had settled at the bottom. And they would pour the eggs off, and that's what we had for scrambled eggs. But the food was generally good when we had a base to get our food from. But we actually went without food for quite a while. That is, we didn't go without food. We had to go in and steal food, or we lived on bananas. A lot of us ate bananas most of the time.
How did you entertain yourself on the ship?
We didn't have a lot of entertainment. It was kind of a nuisance. Our ship was, I read a lot. Excuse me, a lot of us read, and I did a lot of reading, many books. That was my main entertainment. We had no movies or anything, of course, on those ships. And very seldom we didn't even have good radios. Although we did listen when I was over there to Tokyo Rose a lot. We listened to that. But about the only entertainment was reading.
What are your most memorable experiences?
Oh, I don't know. I think I actually enjoyed my time out there. I was unattached. I wasn't married. I felt very sorry for those fellows who were married and had children at home, but I was not married. So I was, you might say, free, and it was interesting to see the country, and I enjoyed being out on the ocean. It was, you get out there in that salt air, and it was just nice to be sailing across the ocean. In fact, if I hadn't wanted a family or something, I think I'd spend my time out on the ocean. There's just something about the salt air and the cleanliness of it. It's just, it's very, very fascinating, very nice. I used to spend many nights when we were sailing across the ocean, out on the bow, just watching the water, watching the porpoises come and swim by us. The porpoises would always want to play, it seemed like. They would come diving at your ship and then just turn just so they got to you. One time the ship ahead of us had been blown up, and there were some barrels of gas still on the water. Of course, the gas barrels were lighter than water, so they floated. And one time we passed one, and the porpoises were jumping over this barrel, just almost nose to tail. You don't know how many there were, but it was just a constant stream. But it was always fun to go out there and see the sea life. I enjoyed that part of it.
What did you think of your officers and fellow soldiers?
Very good. We only had a crew of only 27 of us. And so we didn't have our officer. Our main officer was this commanding officer was a lieutenant from Kentucky, and he was a real nice fellow. He was a school teacher. The only thing that I liked him. I got along good with him. I kept the records of the ship, and I liked him very much. Except he thought so much of Franklin D. Roosevelt, our president. We used to accuse him of praying for the president. But we got along good with him, man.
Do you have any photographs?
Very few. We weren't allowed to take pictures, of course, overseas. We did. I did keep a diary. I kept a diary. As soon as we got on the ship in New Brunswick, Georgia, why the skipper appointed me as a petty officer of the watch, and he appointed me to keep the log for the ship. So I had to write down every day on the ship's log where we were, what we had done, and where we'd been. And I got thinking about it. It was against the regulations to keep a diary. We weren't supposed to. Nobody's supposed to keep diaries. And but I got thinking, as long as I kept that log, which is a complete record of everything we'd done, why I was going to keep a diary. So I went down to the store in New Orleans and bought a book, a record book, and I kept a diary. My job was, if we ever came under attack and looked like we might get captured, why my job was to destroy that log. I had provision to destroy the log, and I kept my diary with it, so that if they caught us, why they wouldn't know where we'd been or what we'd been doing. So, but I kept a diary, but we didn't have the pictures, no.